episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing a extended length special of the Pokemon anime, The Mastermind of Mirage Pokémon. Now, this is the 10th anniversary special of the franchise, so that's why it's extended length. It's also supposed to take place after episode 427, and that's where I'm recording it, but it also could be non-canon, so take it with a grain of salt, I guess, but enjoy. The episode begins with Ash and Gang somewhere in Kanto, likely having been going towards the Battle Dome, when they decided to take a detour, walking through a forest. Ash asked for the reason why Ash and the gang were currently taking a detour through another forest. Well, it was because Ash had received a letter from a researcher named Dr. Young, who had invited Ash, according to the letter, to his laboratory, the Mirage Mansion, so that he could see a demonstration and test of a new battle system that Dr. Young had developed. And Ash was reading this letter aloud to his friends so that he could brag about the fact that he, of all people, was chosen to see a revolutionary new battle system, and kept bragging about it, much to the annoyance of Brock, May, and Max, because they were getting very tired of hearing about the letter by now. One other thing the letter did have, though, was the directions to the laboratory, so they headed there. Eventually, Ash and the gang arrived at Dr. Young's laboratory, which they were very surprised to see was an entire goddamn castle. Because they were so busy examining the castle, though, they almost didn't see the many black circular things on the ground, which Brock assumed to be an outdoor lighting system, which Ash thought was pretty interesting, but his attention was then pulled towards something else. Two old friends that they bumped into, Misty and Professor Oak. Ash was obviously surprised to see them, and asked why they were there, and as he bragged that he got a letter from Dr. Young himself, but Professor Oak and Misty showed that they had both received letters to come as well, which led May, Max, and Brock to make fun of Ash for bragging earlier, basically confirming that Ash wasn't special. Oak then states that he thought Dr. Young's years of research must have finally come to an end if he was inviting people, so that basically said that Professor Oak had heard of Dr. Young. Dr. Young then confirms Oak's assumption, saying that his research had indeed come to an end as he steps out into the courtyard where Ash, Misty, Professor Oak, Brock, May, and Max were. Dr. Young quickly introduces himself, and Ash and the gang introduce themselves as well, along with Oak and Misty, so Ash immediately takes the topic of the conversation to if he could show off the new battle system that his letter talked about. Dr. Young catches everyone by surprise, however, when he mentions that they were already inside of his battle system and takes out a remote control and taps some buttons on it, which causes the demonstration to begin as the black circular things that were on the ground earlier that they saw opened up to reveal crystal generators and turned the generators into a force field. Ash and the gang were left utterly amazed by this force field on the ground, especially Brock, who remarked that the system was way more than just an outdoor lighting system than he previously thought. Oak recognizes this system as a mirage field, and he knew that the goal of it, according to Dr. Young's rumors, was that he was trying to create holographic Pokemon. And after Oak explained this, the holographs were formed as a Kabutops, Amistar, and Armaldo were summoned by the system. Professor Oak identifies these three holographic Pokemon as Mirage Pokemon, and states his assumption that the Mirage system must be finally completed, which Young confirms. Young then explains how the Mirage system worked. Basically, it could create any Pokemon, complete with voice, intelligence, and attacks, all from using their raw data. He continues to say that the Mirage system could create any Pokemon, despite its rarity, or even its being extinct. So it could create fossil Pokemon, or exceedingly rare Pokemon, like even legendaries. Max touches the Mirage Pokemon to feel them, and confirms that they were holograms, when suddenly Dr. Young decides to demonstrate how the Pokemon were made out of DNA, as he presses a button to erase the Pokemon, and instead reform the DNA into a Mirage Aggron. And he also decides to challenge Ash and Misty to a battle with it, to show that the Mirage Pokemon still had strength. Ash was very eager to fight Dr. Young, but Misty stopped him and reminded him of the lady's first rule, so she would be the first to battle, which Ash reluctantly accepted. So Dr. Young told Oak to observe as he decided to battle with the Mirage Aggron. Meanwhile, as for Team Rocket, they were eavesdropping from behind the gate of the laboratory, and they were intrigued by the Mirage system. So Jesse first suggested that they steal the Mirage system, and James and Meowth agreed, so they all started to come up with a plan too, with Meowth doing most of the heavy lifting when it came to coming up with a plan, since he was very excited to steal it right away. Anyways, back with Ash and the gang and Dr. Young. They were now in another area outside of the main laboratory, and Misty was getting ready to battle the Mirage Aggron, as she chose to send out her Staryu against it. Ash, Brock, and Max, and May were watching the battle intently, while Oak was the referee, and he officially declared it was time for the battle to begin, as Misty started off by having Staryu use Bubble Beam. The Bubble Beam hit, but Aggron wasn't phased whatsoever, allowing Dr. Young to command a Sandstorm, which Staryu tried to dodge, but the Sandstorm curved upward and hit Staryu extremely hard, leaving Brock and Ash to comment on how tough Mirage Pokemon were. But during this, Pikachu was distracted, as it saw none other than a Mew watching the battle from atop one of the laboratory's walls. It was basically perched on it. That's right, a goddamn Mew. Although, it looks suspiciously like a Mirage Pokemon. Anyways, back to the battle. Misty tried to have Staryu use Water Gun after Staryu had gotten out of the sandstorm, but Aggron dodged and used Thunder Wave to paralyze Staryu, and then it used Bullet Seed to finish Staryu off. Shocking Misty at how strong the Aggron was as she recalled Staryu. As Oak officially declared that Staryu was unable to battle, and the winner was Dr. Young and his Mirage Aggron. Pikachu saw Mew fly away during all this, and Max commented, in surprise, that Aggron shouldn't be able to use Thunder Wave or Bullet Seed, and said that, Aggron shouldn't use those types of attacks in general, although Dr. Young explained that because Aggron was a Mirage Pokemon, it could use any attack simply by changing the data that it was made by. Ash only got more excited to face the Mirage Aggron when hearing that it could basically use any attack. It was basically fucking breaking the laws of physics, and he decided to battle Aggron with Pikachu, hoping that his strong Pikachu would be able to withstand a Mirage Pokemon. Right as the battle began, though, and Pikachu and Aggron were charging towards each other after Oak officially declared that it was time for the battle to begin, the Mirage Aggron started to glitch because the Mirage system had crashed, and therefore Aggron froze while it was moving. Oak asks Dr. Young what the problem was, but Dr. Young had no fucking clue, and he frantically tried to press buttons on the controller to fix the situation, but while he was doing this, the controller exploded and knocked him down to the ground. Because of the controller having exploded in Dr. Young's hands, as a result, the Mirage Aggron was deleted and put back into the Mirage system generators, leaving Ash and the gang and Oak surprised as Oak quickly ran over to Dr. Young to help him up from his fall. Just then, though, the Mirage system suddenly fixed itself and reactivates, and this causes a whole bunch of fossil Pokemon to appear, such as the Armaldo, Amistar, and Kabutops from earlier, along with 2 Aerodactyl. Obviously, everyone was confused at the sudden reactivation of the system, especially Dr. Young, who didn't know how the system could work while the controller had exploded. But just then, a sinister laugh could be heard, and when everyone looked up to find the source of this laugh onto the laboratory balcony, they saw a masked man behind the Mirage Pokemon, calling himself the Mirage Master. And as he overlooked the battlefield, he declared that he had taken control of the Mirage system. Ash and the gang and Dr. Young and Oak questioned what the fuck the Mirage Master meant by this, as the Mirage Master simply claimed that all the Mirage Pokemon were under his control, and he ordered them to attack. Seeing this, everyone started to run, although Ash tried to fight back as well, telling Pikachu to use Thunderbolt on the Mirage Pokemon, but the Mirage Pokemon were able to dodge Pikachu's Thunderbolt, and one of the Aerodactyl, who dodged the Thunderbolt, captured Dr. Young and flew off to the balcony of the laboratory with him. Oak was worried for Dr. Young, but as he saw all the Mirage Pokemon charge towards him and the gang, he continued running with them, being the last one in line, as they descended some stairs that they found that took them to a shortcut out of the laboratory area. Ash and the gang's escape was in reach, along with Oak and Misty, but before they could escape, the Mirage Master then pulled out a second Mirage System controller somehow, and used it to make Armaldo fire off a Shadow Ball, which injured Max as he fell hard to the ground, and Oak, not wanting the kid to get hurt, rushed back to help him, while everyone else continued on through the gate of the laboratory. But right as they do, Oak was captured by a Mirage Aerodactyl, since he hadn't made it to the gate yet, and coincidentally, right as this happened, all the Mirage Pokemon vanished. At least from the perspective of Ash and the gang, since the Mirage Pokemon were tethered to the laboratory, because they had to be within the field, like the laboratory's field that allowed the Mirage Pokemon to appear, so they couldn't go outside, so Ash and the gang just didn't see them anymore, but in reality, they were still there, as the Aerodactyl had captured Oak. Oak, being captured, obviously upset Ash, and he wanted to go back into the laboratory to save him, but in order to stop this from happening, the Mirage Master simply had all of the Mirage Pokemon block the entrance, and even generated some more Mirage Pokemon, some more Amistar and Kabutops. Up on the balcony, where Aerodactyl had taken Oak to, Oak was surprised not only to not see Dr. Young, despite him being taken up into this balcony, but he was also shocked to see that he was now surrounded when he was put down by the Aerodactyl, and the Aerodactyl left by a Mirage Ursaring, a Mirage Midiana, a Mirage Houndoom, a Mirage Absol, a Mirage Machoke, a Mirage Unknown, a Mirage Kabuto, a Mirage Ammonite, a Mirage Lileep, a Mirage Quidilly, and a Mirage Anorith, and a Mirage Machamp. Mirage Master then showed up and officially welcomed him to Dr. Young's lab. But Oak just shouted at the Mirage Master, demanding that he explain what he did to Dr. Young, while the Mirage Master just laughs and brushes off Oak's demand, and commands Oak to give up the password for Dr. Young's research lab's database. And even though Oak did know this because he was acquaintances with Dr. Young, he blatantly refused to give such a valuable password. As the Mirage Master then threatened Oak, right as Mew happened to appear, going unnoticed as it hid behind the Mirage Ursaring. Oak still refused when he continued to get threatened by the Mirage Master, and he went to go send out one of his own Pokemon in order to stop the Mirage Master, but the Mightyena stopped Oak from doing this as he snarled, intimidating him. The Mirage Master then bragged to Oak that even if he did manage to send out a Pokemon to battle, no genuine Pokemon could stand up to his Mirage Pokemon. Yeah, his. Meanwhile, outside Dr. Young's laboratory, by the front gate, Ash and the gang were planning to get in from beneath, as opposed to going in from the front, which was blocked off by the Mirage Pokemon, so that they could save Oak and Young. The first part of the plan was to go and find a nearby Officer Jenny so they could report Oak and Dr. Young's kidnappings. And naturally, Brock volunteered to go and excitedly rushed off to find Officer Jenny, wanting any chance he could to talk to her. Ash and Misty then decided that they would be the ones to actually go inside the lab, going in from underneath. Still coughing from the dust that Brock had blown up when he started running to Officer Jenny super fast. And this left me and Max wondering what they should do. So Ash and Misty suggested that they simply wait for Brock and Officer Jenny to return so they could help Brock explain the situation, because he may be too love-struck to actually do any explaining. Max and May agreed, but promised to come running to help Misty and Ash if something went wrong, and they knew something went wrong. Meanwhile, back with Oak and the Mirage Master, the Mirage Master decided to reveal his end goal with the Mirage Pokemon to Oak, saying that he believed normal Pokemon were weak, and he was disgusted by this natural weakness that every single natural Pokemon possessed. So he intended to use the Mirage system to create a Pokemon that was free of every single one of those flaws. Basically, a perfect Pokemon with absolutely no weaknesses. And he looked down at the controller as he said all this. Oak screamed at the Mirage Master in response, saying that doing something like that would mess with the bounds of nature, but the Mirage Master just ignores Oak, saying that he didn't care about that shit, and pressed a button on a giant keyboard in the middle of the room, which activated a glowing booth next to Oak, which immensely frightened Oak because he obviously thought that this booth was going to be used for something bad. And he was also worried because all the Mirage Pokemon were still circling him while all this was going on. Meanwhile, back with Ash and Misty, Ash had sent out his Corphish, and Misty had sent out her Staryu, and they were currently swimming aboard them, heading towards an open hole in the lab's basement that they were able to spot. Once they had swam far enough into the water and ended up going a bit deep into the water, they managed to find the interior of the lab basement and saw that the Mirage generators were inside as well. So they decided to move ahead cautiously so as to not accidentally alarm anyone that they were there, in case the Mirage generators could sense them or some shit and activate some Pokemon, or the Mirage Master could perhaps sense them and activate some Mirage Pokemon as well. Meanwhile, Team Rocket had also managed to get into the basement somehow. Don't ask how. Maybe they just swam there, or they just snuck in through the main entrance. I don't know. Because maybe they got into the battlefield area before the Mirage Pokemon blocked off the entrance or some shit. I don't know. But they were currently looking for either the Mirage system itself or the design plans so that they could recreate the system. Either way, they ended up coming across a door and were about to go through it when it opened without their intervention and slammed them in the faces because Ash and Misty had just opened that door. So now Ash and Misty were face to face with Team Rocket. And obviously, both groups were surprised to see each other, and Team Rocket was scared, since they were currently in a vulnerable position, having been knocked down after being hit in the face by the opening door. Unbeknownst to Team Rocket and Ash and Misty, though, the Mirage Master actually had cameras set up in the lab, so he could see Ash, Misty, and Team Rocket on one of these security cameras, and he used his Mirage system to transport the Mirage Pokemon to the basement to attack Ash and the gang and Team Rocket. With all the Mirage Pokemon now out of the balcony area where Oak and the Mirage Master were, this caused Oak and the Mirage Master to see Mew, who had been hiding behind the Ursaring before the Ursaring disappeared. Oak was very excited to see Mew, obviously, knowing that it was one of the most rare legendary Pokemon ever, but the Mirage Master was angry upon seeing Mew for some reason, and attacked it with a Mirage Magnemite that he summoned. Oak angrily questioned why the Mirage Master was attacking Mew, although the Mirage Master just claimed that Mew was a flawed specimen, and demanded that Mew get the fuck out of his sight, and Mew sadly left, hearing this. Meanwhile, back with Ash, Misty, and Team Rocket quickly did their motto, without Black Jr. for some reason, but it was then that the Mirage Pokemon that had been summoned down to the basement appeared. Team Rocket got scared as they put their hands up in fright, and they got even more scared when the Mirage Houndoom snarled at them, and they angrily screamed at it, begging them to go away, although the Houndoom didn't, and instead just got angry at Team Rocket for yelling at them as they ended up blasting Team Rocket off with a flamethrower. Misty and Ash didn't want to get blasted off, so they knew they would have to fight these Mirage Pokemon, especially since the Mirage Pokemon all snarled at them, looking very angry. So, right as Ash was about to have Pikachu attack them, he and Misty then saw Mew show up, and they were obviously amazed to see a Mew, having only heard about it in legends, but while Misty and Ash were distracted by Mew, this allowed some of the Mirage Pokemon, Mightyena, Absol, and Houndoom, to attack them. So, right before they attacked, Ash managed to spot them and told Pikachu to use Thunderbolt, just like he planned, but Absol was able to dodge the Thunderbolt and headbutts Pikachu directly into the basement wall. Misty tries to send out Staryu to help, but Machoke grabs her, preventing her from tossing out a Pokeball. Then Ash gets grabbed by Machamp when he tries to call out Corphish to assist. Then Pikachu was grabbed by Ursaring, and all of the Mirage Pokemon started to march back to the Mirage Master to bring him his new captives. Unbeknownst to all the Mirage Pokemon, though, Mew follows them, maybe wanting to save Ash and Misty, who knows. However, while the Mirage Pokemon were carrying Ash, Misty, and Pikachu to the Mirage Master, with Machamp carrying Ash, Machoke carrying Misty, and Ursaring carrying Pikachu, Ash told Pikachu to use Thunderbolt to escape Ursaring and escape to May, knowing that May was waiting in case they needed help. Pikachu tried to use Thunderbolt, but the Thunderbolt didn't seem to hurt Ursaring at all. Ash told it to try more, so it did, and this one actually managed to knock down Ursaring and sent a Thunderbolt blasting out the side of the basement. May and Max saw this from some bushes where they were waiting, and realized that something must have gone wrong, so May sent out her Squirtle and started to swim towards them with Squirtle. Basically, she was going with Squirtle to the basement and trying to find Ash and Misty, leaving Max behind in the bushes, who hoped everything would go down okay. Meanwhile, back in the basement area with Ash and Misty, Pikachu was firing off some more Thunderbolts in an attempt to take out the Mirage Pokemon, but it actually ended up taking out the generator nearby. This crystal generator was one of the Mirage Pokemon generators that summoned more Mirage Pokemon, and basically hitting this generator was a way of preventing more Mirage Pokemon from being summoned, since Mirage Pokemon had to be within a generator, but obviously there were still other generators in the place. Pikachu's next Thunderbolt then knocked both Machoke and Machamp back, although Machoke ended up dropping Misty down the side of a platform, basically falling to her goddamn death. Well, she wasn't dead yet, but she was sure on her way. Pikachu was distracted by this, worried for Misty, and while Pikachu was distracted, this allowed Houndoom to use a headbutt on it to knock it back. Ash tries to run to Pikachu to help it out, but Machamp, who had managed to get up, tackled Ash and knocked him back too. Ash even got fucking knocked out from this attack. Fuck. And to make matters worse, the Mirage Pokemon, Machoke, Machamp, etc., picked up Pikachu and marched off again. I guess they weren't happy with just taking Pikachu for some reason. They were fine with leaving Ash and Misty behind. Maybe they thought that they were both dead or something, I don't know. Once the Mirage Pokemon left with Pikachu, Mew then showed up again and shook Ash to wake him up. Ash was very excited to see Mew, but just as he was greeting it, a loose part of the rubble crumbles down, about to crush Mew, although, thankfully, Ash returns the favor of Mew saving him by pushing Mew out of the way of the falling debris. Through touching Mew, Ash confirms what was kind of obvious to us, I'm sure, which was that this Mew wasn't an actual Mew, but instead also a Mirage Pokemon, being a hologram. Ash was confused at this because he noted that all of the Mirage Pokemon seemed eager to fight and basically just beat up anybody, but Mew, on the other hand, seemed kind. Ash then noted that Mew also had a conscience to begin with, unlike all the other Mirage Pokemon that were just mindless. Mew wanted to fly out of Ash's hands, because even though it was grateful to Ash for saving it, it was scared that more rubble and debris would fall down where they currently were, so Mew wanted to go free, away from all this debris, but in the process, it ended up coming into contact with the broken Mirage generator machine, and a red force field surrounded it. Ash could see that this was making Mew be in pain, so he strained himself and hurt himself in the process, but he managed to put his hand through the force field and pull Mew out. After a very, very, very strenuous effort, and Mew was even smoking after it was pulled out, because it was hurt so bad. With Mew now safe, Ash called out down the way that Misty had fallen, and called out to her, hoping that she was okay, but unfortunately, he got no answer. Just then, though, before Ash could get depressed and think that Misty was dead, Mew told Ash to follow him, so Ash did. As for Misty, she wasn't dead, she was hanging off the side of a platform that she had been hit by. Unfortunately, Misty couldn't stay hanging for long, because the little bit of the platform that she was hanging onto detached from the rest of the platform. As she started to free fall, though, May showed up with her Squirtle and grabbed her hand, saving her. Is this the end of the special? Fuck no. There's still more of it. But this is technically a double episode, because it was 40 minutes instead of 20 minutes. So, this special will continue in the next episode.